think we're live. We're good. DeRae, what's going on, man?
Hey, Austin. Good evening. Cautious coffee after hours. I realized I was like, okay, I like it. I like it. All these clever plays on cautious coffee, whether it's a newsletter or, after a long day of work, drop it into.
Yeah, it's I think we are encouraging everyone right now, if you're in a safe place, to pour an Irish coffee, espresso martini, whatever it is. Keep with the theme. That would be the ideal scenario. I definitely would have I don't know, some sort of drink right now, but I am in Florida with none of my stuff, so I could have a clear solo cup, but I don't know that would be the most ideal solution. And I have a bottle of whiskey just staring at me right now.
There you go.
Yeah, but
just need a little Coke.
No, man, this is like
okay,
good stuff. Yeah, you definitely can't put Coke in here. So
a little bit ice then.
Yeah, exactly. But so this is the first time we've done, I think, one of these live streams. So we have really no idea, where this is going to go, who's going to join, that kind of thing. I think we'll maybe put it up on the podcast stream. So if you miss it, go ahead and listen back. But we'll also go ahead and put up right now a QR code. So if you want to join, either DeRae and myself, just scan the QR code. I think it should be in the bottom left of your screen. If you're watching this right now, scan that. It'll bring you to the green room, and from there we can, I don't know, decide if we want to have you on, figure out what you want to discuss, and go from there. But DeRae, a lot of life changes happening for us, man. I am no longer in Houston for the first time since, just right out of college for work.
I was thinking about that before we got on. I just want to say I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, proud of you, man. Leaving the nest finally.
Well, I will tell you one thing. I kind of have this rule that if it's longer than a 4-hour drive, you hop on a plane, right? I mean, you can go back to some of the episodes that we've had in the past. I think it was season 1, episode 2, where we talked about time, and I can't do 14 hours driving, man, even if it's over 2 days. It's just, I'm not built for it.
Yeah.
I'm not built for it. I'd just rather get on a plane, be there in 90 minutes. I mean, if I'm going to be traveling somewhere for 14 hours, let's go abroad.
Trip, right? Houston to the east coast of Florida. Nah.
And it was raining the entire time. So much anxiety driving through rain, man.
Yeah, if it's a bad storm, but that's not a fun drive. It's not a scenic drive.
Oh, it's not. It was so flat. Flat.
Yeah.
At least if you're driving through certain parts of the Texas Hill Country, or even up the East Coast, or if you're taking the PCH in California, you've got something to look at. But a lot of swampland. So
14 hours, I think about 14 to 16 hours is what my drive was when I came down from Colorado with a 5x10 U-Haul, trailer hooked up to my car 7 years ago. So,
yeah. But also some, I guess, other news. For those that aren't aware, I think DeRae shared this on. Can we talk about it? You shared it on Facebook.
Which? Yeah, we can talk about it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Mr. Olympia over here is one of Houston's latest 40 under 40 honorees from the Houston Business Journal. So DeRae, congratulations.
Thank you, Austin. Really, from the bottom of my heart, man, I appreciate you a ton, brother.
So walk me through that. I mean, how many people from the media are reaching out to you right now?
Well, there are just a handful of emails that I need to reply to, and it's quite honestly, I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed, just because there's so many things I need to check off, right? So many things I need to tend to, but I prioritize work and my fitness and my regular scheduled program over some of those things. So in the in between spaces, I get to the emails and return the phone calls. And today I had a board meeting, for one of the boards that I sit on. So, that took up my lunch hour. But I always appreciate it once it's passed. So I like going through it, right? I go through it full steam, but doesn't mean I don't get a little overwhelmed at times.
I think it's okay to be overwhelmed. I mean, I think that's kind of what I'm going through right now too.
I can only imagine, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I had a big move like this was, we kind of alluded to it earlier, but I was fresh out of college, 23, 22 years old, something like that, moving to Ruston, Louisiana, a town of about, I don't know, 25,000 people.
You did live in Louisiana.
Yeah. So it was 25,000 people, but it was a college town, right? And working with the athletic department there, some great experiences. And, one of the unique factors built in, which I imagine it was probably, the case for you when you were in, the Army, is that there's a network already there of people that are going through the same thing. And, definitely don't want to compare, Louisiana Tech athletics to, the military, but a lot of the folks that are there are under 30 years old, working. They're only going to be there for a year or two.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to move on to, a bigger university and go from there. Yeah. So you're working together 100 hours a week. If you have time to go out, you're going out with those folks. It's different when you're, in your 30s and you move to a completely new city where, you don't know people outside of work. I mean, I know it's only day 4, but.
And you're late 30s, so you're unk.
Hey, you don't need to bring that up, man.
You're unk. All right. I had one of the guys that I beat last year. We were chatting on Instagram, and he called me unk. And I shared that with some of my other boxing peers who are, late 30s, early 40s. And they said, we'd have to fight again outside. Okay. Calling me unk. And I did feel some type of way, but only momentarily. And then I smiled a big cheesy grin because it's, unks now. Austin.
Getting old, man. It's
we're getting older. I don't know that
wiser, right? In theory,
more seasoned, quite honestly. And the 30s are you can't tell me that's not an amazing decade. Career wise, and you still got a little bit of athleticism. I mean, obviously from the year I had last year, right? So you're making more money probably than you've ever made in your 30s. So it's really a special decade.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that you bring that up because I shared this text message with you earlier today, and it just kind of reminded me about your 30s. So I don't know how accurate this is, but there's this survey. I don't know where it came from. It was from
on Wall Street Oasis.
Yeah, something like that. They interviewed like 800 employees from December 2023. And it said during job interviews, employers say recent college graduates have, and this just goes down the list, struggle with eye contact during conversation, 53%, ask for unreasonable compensation at 50%, dress inappropriately, 47%, use inappropriate language, 27%, refuse to turn on camera during a virtual interview, 21%, brought a parent to their interview, 19%. 19%. And I think like all of these kind of make sense, based on things we've heard, but the group threads were kind of going off on that today. Just discussing that. And man, I don't know what it is, because when we were in our 20s, we didn't have to deal with virtual interviews. If
right.
If anything, it was just on the phone or in person, but it's a different era right now. And we've talked about this on the financial side of things. Basic knowledge isn't taught in schools, and I wonder if it's a combination of that still happening now, and COVID-19, people being like trained to be remote, people's attachments to their phones. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're the old people right now looking at Gen Z and Gen Y saying, "What's going on?"
You know what? That's a fair point. I mean, think about how impressionable young people are generally, and that generation was this Gen Z that grew up with social media, and they think every third person is Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah,
those right, or is like some Uber gazillionaire. I have conversations with people in their early 20s, and they think they're going to be millionaires by 30. Like the statistical reasoning You know, they haven't explored what that is, what that means. They haven't run the numbers, and they, you know, asking for the unrealistic compensation. You know, I think that was one of the points you made. I'm like, wow, they just, you know, they don't have any context. They're just so, they're kind of lost in a sense, and it's because of social media. Like, they're inundated, you know. And I mean, we're on social media a little bit, so, but we, you know, a little bit more mature how we use it.
Yeah, we're also instead of posting TikTok dances, we're that generation that posted our, like, I don't know, Friday and Saturday nights all over social media, and then once we graduated college, realized how stupid that was, deleted it. I think the finance thing is kind of interesting because you have this culture now of always putting your best foot forward on social media, right? Trying to flex, trying to project a certain image of success, happiness, and that can take a variety of different forms. But I think there's a problem, especially with like young men right now, of the Andrew Tate mindset that if you follow certain guidelines and parameters, you should be making $1 million a month or $1 million a year, some obscene number, or you can get into drop shipping and start making 100K a month. And these are just completely unrealistic. And I think a lot of people have started to look as, I need $100,000 to get started in my first job when I'm 22, 23 years old. I mean, I was kind of thinking on that today, going back to the Louisiana Tech conversation. I made $1,061 a month, below minimum wage, like technically below the poverty level. And when you dig deeper, it's only something like 30% of Americans, all Americans, are over six figures. And so how do we have this huge gap of expectations? I mean, I think people should strive for that, but where is this gap coming from?
Well, back to the statistical reasoning bit. People don't understand, like, even if you think about the stock market, right? And you could think about any of these money managers and you look at their performance over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe they beat the market. Okay. So like Andrew Tate, you said, like, you can make $1 million a year in drop shipping or whatever hustle, whatever side hustle that, will get you there for a few years. But what about 20 years? Good evening. Cautious coffee after hours. I realized, I was like, okay, what about 30 years?
Technical difficulties. Hold on. What's going on? You just open up the Facebook link?
Newsletter, or, after a long day of work.
What's going on?
All right, there we go.
All right. See, when you try to watch yourself on stream and you're doing it live, that's kind of what happens.
I didn't click anything. I didn't click anything. Where was I? Okay, about the long term, about the gains over the long term and building real wealth over the long term. So if you think about Andrew Tate, like, or anyone similar, right? Any snake oil salesman who's a flash in the pan, any soothsayer, defer to Warren Buffett, who will tell you, like, look, I didn't make the majority of my wealth until I was like in my 60s. It just took time. That's the magic of compound interest, right? And just being diligent. It's not a fly by night. It's not it takes 20 years to become an overnight success. That's what it takes. And social media, that instant gratification, that dopamine hit, time and time and time again. I think our brains have been reconfigured and our expectations have been, skewed grossly.
I don't want to jump to conclusions, but do you see that as like a major red flag for, I don't know, the future of this country?
Well, definitely from a mental health perspective, right? Because you have those expectations, and reality is not obligated to, play fair with your expectations, or abide by your expectations, or meet your expectations, right? Reality is going to punch you in the mouth. And, hopefully when you're sitting there, you can pick yourself up and dust yourself off, and you have the right people around you to, get you back on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to
But,
be.
but I was reading an article earlier, maybe in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, about all the Congress people that are leaving Congress
Yeah.
or retiring. I think it's like 30 some odd members of Congress are leaving, and a lot of them are leaving with a bad taste in their mouth. They were saying a lot of the things that used to, just be business as usual, the debt ceiling or, some other trivial bit of legislation, it got to the floor, it got a vote, and, you went about your day. But now you have so many attention seekers, so many folks in Congress that are, they're using social media, rebel rousers. Rabble, is it rabble or rebel? Rebel rousers.
It's after hours. You can say what you want.
That was the word. That was the word that obviously one of the more seasoned members used. And you know, I don't think it's good for the country. How about that? It's not. It's like fast food. That's what it is, as opposed to something that's a nutrient dense meal.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of toxicity. I think in politics that has really emerged over rabble.
Rabble rouser.
Yeah, that's what CL says. So CL, thank you for dropping that. Also, if anyone wants to join the stream right now, if you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you can again follow us on cautiouscoffee.com. If you want to join the conversation right now, ask any questions. You can scan the QR code that's in the bottom left of your screen, and that'll put you in the green room. So if you're in the green room, we can see you on camera, and there's going to be a private chat. And we'll ask you if you want to join on screen, if you have any specific questions. So Steve, I see you right now in the green room. You've been in here for a bit, haven't responded to the private chat. So I guess you're just watching here. That's totally cool. And
Thank you, by the way.
my best friend, CL. So.
Oh, that's the Sierra.
Okay. All right. Didn't know who that was. So at least you know. So, Sierra, if you want to join, hop in the green room and we'll talk. But
yeah, she has a more liberal position, so I would love for her to join in.
Yeah, but so Sierra, definitely scan the QR code in the bottom, join in. We'll talk a little bit. But one of the things that I find like concerning is that you go back 20, 30 years ago.
Yes.
There was a lot of cooperation in Congress.
Yeah.
You look at major bills that were passed. You look at Supreme Court justices that were up for confirmation. You would have it pass essentially 80-90%, and now it's 1-2 votes. And then you have people, rather than serving the interest of their electorate, they are pushing for more power, more agenda. And I don't know how you feel, but it's incredibly frustrating with the best two options that we have right now.
I think it was 2008. What, President Obama was giving a speech. Who was the member that said, "You lie, you lie, you lie"? I remember.
No, you're referring to. I can't remember who said it.
Yes, but ever since then, it's just been building more and more. The last 16 or so years. I don't know what that means, quite honestly.
It's hard to get things done. I think.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was younger, I wanted to go into politics. That was one of the reasons why I studied political science at Baylor. Wanted to go into lobbying or, international business law, something. But it's so tough now. And I think that's why, going back to the point about, 30, 40 members of Congress getting burnt out and wanting to step down. And I don't know, maybe we had the solution in season 1 when we talked about the Democratic lottery. Maybe that's the solution. But
yeah. I think it's definitely one of them. But I also have to consider, Obama used social media to, swing the young vote, right?
Right.
And I mean, we're kind of getting everything we're supposed to be getting, right? You got the good side of it, you got the bad side of it. It kind of all makes sense that you have so many members of Congress that are, attention seeking and, leveraging social media, yapping, insulting one another.
What's the point?
I mean,
just go back to the 1700s, right? Hamilton. I don't know.
Then though, they were still like, they were going in on one another. They were still in the media, writing. They were writing letters to one another, right? They had battle raps,
kind of like
right?
Kendrick and Drake.
Well, I'm saying like it's just times change, and I think maybe we're in the early days of social media as a tool in politics. Things are cyclic.
Yeah, that's true.
Things will come back around to where enough folks will get sick of it and will begin using it in a way that allows us to get things done as opposed to keeping us gridlocked.
I mean, one can hope. I mean, I think our country deserves.
No, country doesn't deserve shit.
So?
No one deserves anything, Austin. Those people were elected in fair and square. We get what we get. We don't throw a fit.
Right before I left Houston, there was the runoff election for Texas Senate, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And our new mayor, Whitmire, it was his vacant seat.
Yeah.
And Molly Cook ended up winning the seat, I think by 74 votes was the total. And the district, I think, had something like 1 million registered voters or some obscene number like that.
Yeah.
There were only 11,000 people that voted in that election, in that runoff. I mean, come on, we have to do better than that. I mean, you go onto Reddit and you look, or you look on social media, and most people didn't realize there was.
So that's what we're getting. What we deserve, Austin.
Yeah.
That statistic right there that you just shared with me, we're getting it every bit of what we deserve.
Yeah. See, we've got Sierra in the green room. Should we bring her on? Add her to the stage?
If she wants to come in, if she has a position.
Yeah.
Something she wants to share with us.
She just turned on her camera in the green room. So
hey.
Welcome to the live stream, Sierra.
Hi, best friend and
Hello.
Austin.
Hey, Sierra.
Hi, how are you guys?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. It looks like it in your massive library, DeRae.
Yeah, that's
like my empty apartment.
Yeah, we have the contrast going on over here.
Oh yeah, it looks great. It looks great. So I'm on with like two conservatives, or like what's going on?
No, not necessarily.
I think I asked this question to one of my old bosses, Jason Ryan, in I think 2012 or 2016. Like, who was he planning to vote for in the election? And he was like, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm a patriot. And I think that there are people in both parties that I vote for. I don't vote down party lines. I think there are issues that I find more important than others. And I had this conversation with someone a few weeks ago, I think, but there are issues that I care about and think are important, maybe on the moral side of things, or social issues that I think are incredibly important. But for me, it doesn't move the needle enough to vote on. I think the things that I look at are, and this is just what I've said in the past, and I kind of stand to it. And there have been a few occasions where I've deviated from it. But for me, I look at the economy as a huge issue, national security as a huge issue. And by national security, I also mean like foreign policy as something. And then the last thing was energy policy, because I worked in the energy sector for so long. So when I cast my ballot, I kind of look at those three issues and then make the decision on who I think the best candidate is. But, I'm not always going to vote for a candidate. Like in 2016, for example, I wrote in Evan McMullen because I couldn't find myself to vote for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. I don't know what I'm going to do this year. I don't even know if I'm eligible to vote because I think I have to be in Florida for like 183 days, and I think I'm going to miss the cutoff.
Oh
But
my goodness.
myself and Justin Cade, who's also been a guest on this podcast, have said that we're going to vote for DeRae Crane for president of the United States. So I encourage everyone listening to write in DeRae's name.
I think
Oh my
I
goodness.
think President of the United States would be a terrible job to have. So,
I mean, think of the book deals after. I mean,
man, everyone goes in with like I'll go in with this beautiful head of hair on the other end.
and then it'll be gray. But you're still in your 30s, so by the time you finish, you'll be 42. You'll be able, just do a 4-year term. You're good.
Yeah, all things considered, when you mentioned the economy and how I think we're doing the best out of all the G7.
Yeah,
nations.
It's rough out there globally.
Yeah. So I guess we know who you're voting for.
Me? I'm voting for you, DeRae. Sierra, what's kind of your take? What's your thought? I mean, I think you pegged us as both being Republicans, which I'm not quite sure is accurate.
I said conservative.
Yes,
Republican.
Which that is true. Like my values are more aligned. They're more conservative values.
And I am an avid cautious coffee watcher, so I know a little bit about some of your takes on, the political climate in the United States. But I mean, I have these conversations with DeRae all the time, and I am a bleeding liberal is what, probably he would call me. But, the interesting part is I was raised in a very conservative household, very, very religious, conservative household. And just over the last 20, 30 years, I've seen my household, how I was raised, shift to a more liberal standpoint. So I think, I feel like it ebbs and flows. We're in the time right now where I feel like the divide is way more pronounced.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is personality driven. And people are forgetting, my profession, I'm an attorney. So, the rule of law, democracy, those are things that are really, really important to me. And I've just kind of seen a shift to, attaching to a personality as opposed to remembering, we are a society based on rules. And, we're a society supposedly based on, democracy and, having, a jury trial, having a right to a jury trial, or, having the right to, just anything listed in the Bill of Rights, that's what our democracy is pretty much based on. But because we're personality driven and we have short-term, attention spans, I think we're forgetting a lot of those basic principles that our country was built on.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that's disheartening. And I feel like we're not a very informed electorate anymore. And a lot of that is driven by, social media and just, like I said, our short attention spans. So, I'm a little leery for.
I mean, were we ever an informed, highly educated?
As a country, I don't know that we were.
Yeah.
But I think we are less now than we were before. And Sierra, to your point, like with social media, I mean, that kind of goes back to what we talked to, a few moments ago is, I'm not so sure that Americans overall are that different. Like when you put us on, a scale, right? Like take a ruler, most people are probably somewhere in the middle on that bell curve, right? Mm-hmm. And they might lean left, they might be more in the middle, they might lean right. It's maybe 5 to 10% those people that are very active on social media, that are driving the news, that are, the loudest voices in the room. And so when people think politics, that's who they think of. They think of, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then they think of AOC. They look at those as, the voices of, the left and the right, when in actuality, most people in both parties don't align with them 100%. So I think social media has really messed that up.
How do you guys feel about the TikTok ban?
I mean, it's what do you want? Do you want who do you want having your data? Do you want the Chinese, Communist Party, or do you want corporate America? So I think that's the question.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too.
I think it's a security risk, you know.
Yeah.
It's also addicting, but you know, some of the issues with TikTok, like it's frightening that arguably the biggest, you know, geopolitical threat to the United States has access to all of our information. You know, people might not think that it matters now, but when China tries to go after Taiwan in 5-10 years, whenever that time frame is, it's an entirely different ballgame. And to me, that's alarming. And I don't know that a lot of people realize that at the moment. I think TikTok is dangerous. I mean, I don't know that social media is all that great to begin with. And here we are, like live streaming on social media, but it has
Hey,
cool,
YouTube is fine.
yeah, YouTube is
hands
fine.
off of YouTube. It's totally fine.
But you know, I think it can bring the world together, and we've seen a lot of good come from social media. But I think when it's weaponized, that's a problem. And I think TikTok is going to be weaponized. I don't know. That's my take.
If it hasn't been already.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we're going over there with, you know, social media sites. So.
Right.
Well, it's interesting too. Like the version of TikTok that we have in the United States is not the same version that they have in China, right? I think TikTok itself is banned in China. They have a similar version that's owned by ByteDance, but it really pushes out content on like STEM education. And then there are certain guidelines and parameters for children that they can only watch a certain amount of, you know, minutes of content per day. Whereas here in the US, you know, kids are addicted.
Feeding us trash. Letting us feed one another trash too.
Yeah, read one of the books that DeRae has instead of spending hours on TikTok.
I'm not a TikTok fan at all.
Either. I think I have 0 posts. I'm on there because
I don't even have a TikTok account. I just can't.
Send me the TikTok, then I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess.
Now they can know your data.
And it's like private. My TikTok is private. I don't use it. So. Yeah.
All right. So Sierra, we are 5 months away from the election. I mean, what do you do as an American right now when you have two candidates that are, I mean, really going back to 2016, it looks like 2016, 2020, 2024. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like most of America hasn't been excited the last 3 major election cycles. And it's kind of a lesser of two evils for, you know, all 3 elections. I mean, how do you get amplified for this? And
this is why
I was pretty amped to vote for Hillary. I'm not gonna lie, because I wanted a woman president,
right?
Flaws and all. I don't think you can deny that, you know, her resume is lengthy. She had the qualifications for the job. So I was very excited to vote for her. Was not so excited to vote for Biden. Not excited to vote for him again. I just think, you know, most people who are in Congress need to be in a nursing home somewhere, screaming at a wall because they're old. Okay. I'm sorry if this is an ageist take. This is not sounding very liberal or progressive of me, but please get these geriatrics, you know, in a home somewhere. And let, you know, us middle-aged people, you know, kind of take the reins from here.
But we have to get in the game, Sierra. That's the thing.
Yeah.
This is true.
We have to be willing to go, muck our hands up, right? Sully our hands.
Yeah.
If we want to make that change, right? It's a participatory sport.
Yeah.
Well, if it wasn't so cost prohibitive, that could, you know.
I spoke about the lottery.
You know, that's something that is also getting out of hand is, you know, just the cost for like local elections.
Yeah.
You know, there was a former colleague of mine who ran for office. It was for a commissioner seat, probably 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. I think he told me that in the Democratic primary, I think they had spent over $1 million for a county commissioner seat.
That's absurd.
And I think, you know, he ended up losing. I don't know if it went to a runoff or not, but I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, where that could go to so many different programs or initiatives, education.
He spent on something much better.
Yeah.
And then it's serving the, you know, the pockets, the folks that do have the money to give to the elections.
Yeah, but well, getting back to your question, I'm not excited to vote this year, but one, I will never, ever vote for Trump. Ever.
Fair
He'll
point.
drop dead before I vote for that man. Second of all, I mean, I guess, I think we all lived through the Trump administration, and I guess I'm not on the end of, like, I wasn't better off by the time he was done. I think there were certain um, initiatives or programs that he did put in place that were, I can't knock, I can't say that they were bad. Or like detrimental to our country, but on the whole, I can't vote for somebody who just totally he really genuinely thinks he's above the law.
Yeah.
And he will corrupt the entire thing by saying things are rigged, even though you had a jury trial of the people who reside in your state. I he doesn't put himself above the country. I want somebody who's going to put the country ahead of his own interests. I don't feel like he's
At least
capable of
appear,
doing
though,
that.
right? At least appear.
Yeah,
appear.
yeah. You fake it till you make it. Keep me fooled.
But that's the problem. And we've
But
spoken about this before on the podcast. Like, there's that quote from, what was it, Lord Acton, like it's several hundred years old, but it's power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I think once you get in the game, you can go in with 100% of good intentions, but when you get in the mix, it starts to get muddy.
Yeah.
You come out a different person. I mean, I'm going to go back to Dan Crenshaw. So I used to have another podcast back in 2015. It was called The Weekly Brew of Sports, Politics, Pop Culture. And we had Dan Crenshaw on during his GOP runoff. And, we just wanted to chat with him. And it was very interesting because we asked him about a lot of the policies and rhetoric that Trump had. And you can go back and listen to the audio. He was not supportive of him in a lot of the policies. And then when he gets to DC, when they're both elected, things change.
he fell in line.
Yeah, we were supposed to have Beto O'Rourke on as well, but he had that viral moment and then canceled on us because CNN was calling, Fox News was calling, and he was too big for us. But he's another one too. Like I think when I don't know that like politicians are, necessarily always believe what they're saying. I think they're playing to an audience. They're playing for those reactions. They're playing for those likes, and that's problematic.
Yeah, the incentive structure of the whole system, it's corrupted.
Yeah.
So we're not getting the best and brightest or the most well-intentioned. And by well-intentioned,
even in the judiciary, and they're not even elected. So.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think the most important thing that we can all agree on is get out there and vote. And I think local elections matter.
Absolutely.
As the most, they matter.
Yeah, as we saw in Houston, it was a 74 vote difference in a primary. Yeah. I mean, that's insane. I mean,
do you guys both get involved with like even like your city budgets? Like I get involved. I'm in Arizona. I regularly attend when they're, authorizing the budget for the next fiscal year, because over half our budget just goes to the police. And I think it's almost like 500 million that we spend.
Or where are you at in Arizona?
Maricopa County, Phoenix. Yeah, I believe we're the 5th largest city in the country.
Per proportion.
Yeah. So a lot of our budget is it's absurd. So I like to know like where my money is going. Right. So, if not for anything else, I will sit in on those budget meetings, because it's like, I at least want to know what are we doing with our funds. So I feel like just doing those little things, like telling your friends, hey, I know there's some kind of budget meeting on, not just voting in elections, but like the day-to-day stuff, like your city meetings. People need to get more involved in that. And literally, like, you can just sit in, like, they have agendas. So if there's something that you're really passionate about, you can click in and sign in for the meeting and jump off the call. Like, it's so easy these days. So, people are very apathetic, but like, if you just break it down and be like, okay, it's going to take 15 minutes on a Zoom call, so just log in or type a comment, maybe that's easier for people to digest and participate in, but who knows?
Yeah, it's all public information too, those city budgets.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can, peruse through it and see where your money's going. So you can at least take a position one way or the other.
Yeah.
Be informed. That's the most important thing. So
The hard part, though. So what do we do about that? Maybe social media needs to be leveraged how the Chinese folks leverage it.
Right. We should push out messages like they did on TikTok. Call your local county commissioner tomorrow.
Or
About
maybe
this.
maybe we need more politicians breaking down budgets and pieces of legislation. And Dan Crenshaw was doing that for a little while, wasn't he?
yeah, so there are a few politicians who, and most of them, I think, are the younger ones that are in the middle overall. I think they understand that. I think they have greater career aspirations and realize that you need to have appeal on both sides of the aisle in order to move further if you want something outside of your district. I think Crenshaw is one of them. I think it's what's his name, Jeff Jackson from North Carolina. He is, I think, in his final year as a rep. I think he's running for attorney general, maybe in North Carolina. But I think his district was primarily red, and he ended up winning. And he really embraced social media. And
we need more of that, right?
But he didn't do it. He didn't do it to be like toxic or say one thing or the other. He would say, "Here's an issue that's being voted on.
Get the geriatrics out of there."
Yeah, exactly. So we need more people like that. Use it for good.
Well, and like folks that can argue both sides of a topic, and then say, hey, I can see it. I can see this that position, but this is why I voted the way that I did.
Yeah.
Like full transparency, whether I had to fall in line and vote this way, or I had to compromise one way or the other because there were secondary and tertiary effects from this vote.
Yeah. I see Steve's having some issues with his live stream, so maybe we're just going to boot him from the room.
He probably got stuck.
Yeah, and I think Sierra just dropped. Maybe I did not boot her. But I think we've probably got maybe a few more minutes before we wrap up, and then we'll call it a night. But Sierra's back. Welcome back.
Yes.
For a moment.
Yes.
Some of my podcasts are like 2 or 3 hours long. So.
Yeah. School night.
2 hours.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Just put on and listen, especially when it's about business. Very interesting stuff.
So where do we go from here? I don't know. As a country, whether it's politically, socially.
Well, I think they're always Chicken Littles, right? We're not necessarily Chicken Little, right? Where the sky's falling. Even we can take it back to the Bible. Is it Revelations? Is it Revelations, Sarah? Or the end of the world?
I mean, that's the end times. Yeah. Revelation.
We're always in end time. Somebody's always got a narrative, an end time narrative. It has always existed, every generation, probably since the beginning of time. For whatever reason, right? The weather's changing in a very funky way. The crops didn't come in this year. We're doomed. I think we'll be fine, but that's not to say we can't do better.
100%.
Yeah.
With Gen Z and Gen Alpha? Oh.
Well, they're actually really sharp human beings. Technically, like really, I was reading a stat, like there are more engineers. Engineers built this country, right? Heads of major corporations, during the Industrial Revolution and, maybe up until the 60s or 70s. Engineers, they were builders.
Well, maybe I need to listen more to my 19-year-old and see if she's super sharp like you're mentioning, because I'm a little worried, a little scared for this generation.
They're sharp in a different way. And I had this kind of this thought the other day when I was thinking about my father. It was like our parents guide us into the world and we guide them out. So we gotta work together. That's
right.
Like we need each other. We need the geriatrics, but they do need to know when to let go. Like that generation has a hard time letting go.
Yeah.
The Gen Xers, the baby boomers, even I guess the silents are a little less so. But you think about who populates Congress right now, I think it's mostly baby
Boomers.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we can blame the silence for doing that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping, I do see glimmers of like, oh, like when I do talk to my daughter and her fellow Gen Zers, I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, they do have a different perspective. And I can appreciate that, but I don't know. Their attention spans are even shorter than like ours.
Well, they haven't built anything yet, right? So I think we
Right.
need to encourage them to understand what it takes. So they're lacking the context of what it takes to build something. And that's why I was encouraged when I heard like a lot of the folks coming out of undergrad are going to, there are more engineers coming out. So
Mhm.
to understand what goes into building something and then sometimes it not working out the way it was supposed to, I think that's very helpful for your development as, to become a fully formed human.
I think something else that is a little bit of a concern though is failure, right? I think
Mhm.
our generation, older generations, we've experienced failure at one point or another in our lives. And I don't know that this latest generation, and I go back to the sports analogy all the time, like everyone, playing in a baseball tournament now gets a ring, or
Why do you think that is?
it's, I think it's
Because they're feels. We don't want to hurt
exactly.
their feelings.
Who raised these kids?
We did.
Who raised these softies? Me.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. Like when we grew up.
So we slowed down their life trajectory.
So I'm going to say,
Well,
I'm going to say
part of the problem too, because you're in the game,
right.
and the fact that we shifted, like instead of getting pushed out the door, we kept them protected in a little bubble. We didn't necessarily prepare them to go out and fail.
Yeah.
We didn't push them and nudge them, and we kind of shielded them from reality. So it'll catch up. It's just they're on a delayed track. So we will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but my concern is,
they'll figure it out.
Not experiencing failure at like a younger age. I wonder if that's more problematic long term.
It's a superpower. The sooner you can experience, the sooner you can fail, the sooner you can be crushed and have to put yourself back together. Like the better off you're going to be. Like you're going to steamroll.
Right.
You're going to steamroll when you get out here. And so they'll get there once they have that crash and burn moment when reality punches them in the teeth. They'll be like, oh, all those old folks, what they call this generation.
We're millennials.
Right, all those millennials, all those elder millennials.
Yeah,
maybe a little something about what they're talking about.
What I've learned from social media over the last few months is there's a way to hide that you're a millennial, and it's to
I proudly wear it. I am a geriatric millennial. I have no problem saying that. I don't like it. I was like, okay, how do I do this QR code real quick? Like switch my phone and take a picture of it. I said I don't have no problem saying I'm old. It's not a problem. Yeah.
Well, if you want to hide it, here's a pro tip for anyone listening or watching, whether it's live or afterwards. The socks you wear apparently is the thing. If you wear the high socks, apparently that's in for the younger crowd. If you wear the ankle socks, which were really cool, back in 10, 15 years ago, apparently that means you're a millennial. So just that's
I wear mismatched socks.
I mean, that's different. That means you're a different breed. And I think that's the
I intentionally wear mismatched socks, and it's a signal to my humanness, being a mosaic of inconsistency. So I proudly wear mismatched socks. I'm in the office, business meetings, legs crossed, socks out. Mismatched socks. Yes. Well, what are you gonna do? Like
this executive at BP. With mismatched socks. I can't.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Make sure that you show that off at the 40 under 40 ceremony.
Yes, I need to see this.
I mean, Robert Griffin III did that with the Heisman Trophy ceremony in 2010.
I need it.
He had like Superman socks with capes.
Okay.
Showed off. I mean, just think about that. That should maybe be more important than the tie or the suit. I don't know.
Well, guys, I have to catch a flight. This was
Good luck.
amazing. Yes, DeRae, I'm always on a plane somewhere, like going. But you guys are both great. I enjoy you guys. Keep up the good work with your podcast.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have to maybe try to get you back at a later time.
Oh, yeah, no. I have so much more to discuss.
We've got plenty of time. So.
All right. Good night, guys.
All right. Take care. That was fun. If you want to join, we've probably got a few minutes left. Just scan the QR code, whether you're watching on, I think I'm streaming this on the Cautious Coffee Facebook page, our LinkedIn channel, YouTube, and I think it's also streaming on my Facebook page, and we'll put the archive up after. But if you want to join this, scan the QR code. You can do it on your phone. It'll take you to the green room. We'll talk whatever you want. But DeRae, we'll give it a few minutes to see if anyone else joins the conversation. We've been going for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, but any kind of parting thoughts that you have or anything, I don't know, you want the world or listeners to know?
We didn't really have an agenda for this episode here. We're freestyling it.
Yeah, freestyle. This is the first time we've done a live stream. We've posted videos that we've recorded and aired them as live, but this is the first time where we've kind of had a format like this. So I don't know, maybe we'll try to do this in the future. Maybe it'll be more organized with specific topics, but I kind of like the idea of not having a full direction of, where we're going in the conversation, and to be able to be thrown, curveballs from guests. I think that's fun. And so special thanks to you, Sierra, for joining us.
Yeah. And maybe we can do it at a different time.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is sort of a, hey, I don't know anyone in Florida, let's talk.
And family time and people, especially on the LinkedIn, channel are, hanging out with their families and winding down from a long day.
100%.
But, maybe we even do it a little later.
Yeah, I think that works. And I think at the end of the day, too, that's the beauty of on-demand content, right? Like you can go back, you can watch this at any time.
But it's getting folks to join us. So maybe they join us later. And we do have the after hours where we do, we'll crack a cold one or whatever it is.
And hopefully I'll have like glassware here or something.
Or a plastic cup.
Yeah, I should go get one right now. No.
Yeah, this is fun. Thank you, Austin. You're always pushing me and challenging me and lifting me up, man. I really appreciate you.
Well, I really, thankful for your friendship over the last, 4.5 years. And even when I posted the job update the other day, I posted seek discomfort in my caption, and immediately when I posted that, I was like, wait a minute, I need to warn people not to use that if they know you, because
don't pay it lip service, right?
No,
I'm all about
you might have a sign that says seek discomfort sitting on your desk.
That's cute. It's cute.
Like, hey, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, cool. Have you ever jumped out of an airplane?
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, how about you do it? What's holding you back?
Here's the question that's even more vague, and folks will have their own answer, but it's like, what would you do if you weren't afraid?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, the best things in life are on the other side of fear. So.
Yeah, but if there's something, like, you're kind of held prisoner to that thing, if you don't go do it. All right. So there's freedom. Freedom is on the other side of that. That's, and a lot of folks don't understand it. And I walk around this planet in my neighborhood or at the office, and I see folks, maybe they're a prisoner in their own mind, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think just a few parting words for me. Know that if you are going through a difficult time, you're not alone. We've talked about that on the podcast before. You might be moving somewhere new. You might think you're in a tough spot. Whatever the outcome is, but know that you've got a support network of people that are there and care about you. And then also say yes, seek discomfort. Like, actually get out there, get out of your comfort zone. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be hard at times. But try to do things. I think you can learn a lot about yourself and have, self-growth, professional development, self-development, all of that during the time, and, lean on people, for guidance and direction if you need it. You know, even if you haven't spoken with them in quite some time, you know, they're always there willing to help.
Absolutely say yes, but also say no to anything that doesn't align to the person that you want to be or who you want to become.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay to say no as well. You know, we spoke about that on the time episode. Your time is the most important thing. You know, spend it how you want. If someone wants you to join and go to a dinner or go on a trip and you don't want to go,
a live stream on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I asked you first before scheduling and then asking you. So.
No, I mean, we're asking folks to come in.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's just me and you here, that's okay. We would love to have others, and you know, do this thing, sharpen our skill set. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's like our own little radio show. So, but I don't know. I think we can probably call it a call. It's been coming up here on an hour, but DeRae, always fun. We'll do more of these in the future. We'll maybe
yeah. You mentioned it a long time ago, and I was like, but I always enjoy it when I get in here and get to going.
Yeah, it's fun. It's uncensored. We have no idea where the conversation is going to go, who's going to join, whether someone joins just in the green room the entire time, sitting on a couch watching on their TV. Yeah. That's a very oddly specific call out right there. But you know who you are. But yeah, we'll do more of these in the future. And of course, if you want to follow our work, just head over to cautiouscoffee.com. You can follow us on all the social media platforms. We're there, Cautious Coffee. Also, if you want some merch, we've got the original, I think we call it the OG collection, with the Cautious Coffee logo, the hoodies, the sweaters, the t-shirts. We even have the tank tops. It's summertime coming up, so maybe that's an option for you. We've also got the Be the Only collection. DeRae, I don't know if you've seen this, but if you go to the merch shop right now, it was inspired by your run to the U.S. Olympic trials. In that episode that we had, Be the Only, and I turned it into a sweater and actually bought it. So, yeah.
Does it come in a t-shirt?
Yeah, t-shirts as well.
Okay, I like it. My man.
Yeah, but I think that's it for now. But
yeah,
it's been good, DeRae. So
have a good night.
Yeah, until next time. Take care, everyone.